Hello everyone, Harry Baldock here, editor at Total Telecom, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Harald Summa, CEO of GAIAX. Harold, how are you today?
Oh, I'm really fine. Thank you very much.
Great. Before we go any further, Harold, please could you introduce yourself a little bit more and give us a brief overview of what GAIAX does?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of GAIAX since 1996, which is almost 25 years. And GAIAX is a traditional internet exchange on its way to an interconnection platform. So the first 20 years, we connected networks from providers, from ISPs, from carriers, and more we're becoming also an interconnection point for corporates and enterprises. As of today, we are organized in several country organizations. We have premises in the US, in Europe, in Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, in Greece, in the Middle East, in India, and in Asia. So we are more or less a global actor now.
All right. Well, we're here today to talk about Europe in particular, I guess, with the European Data Infrastructure Project, GAIA-X. So, Harold, what exactly is the GAIA-X project and what are its goals?
The main scope of GAIAX is sovereignty. That means sovereignty in terms of data and of infrastructure. Europe feels a little bit like a hamburger between two buns, the US technologies and the China technology on the other side. And the industry in particular believes that we have to do something in order to have more sovereignty, to get more hold on what we're doing and how we can do it. In the core, Gaia has two areas, two layers. One is the so-called data layer, and the second is the infrastructure layer. On the data layer, we have the scope and the idea to provide a user-friendly and homogeneous ecosystem for advanced smart services in different regions and different industries and different technologies. On the industry side, we have, for instance, smart services for the automotive industry or for energy, but also smart cities are areas where Gaia is looking into, and what we will create there will be so-called data spaces, that are data lakes, collections of data that can be used for any application, which are connected through the so-called smart services, the distributed and so-called federated services of Gaia. On the infrastructure layer, we're talking about standardization of the data center, standardization of the carriers, and a new element in the future will be the standardization of the interconnection points. Because in Gaia, we're not only talking about portability or interoperability, we're also talking about interoperability. That means how can applications, these smart services, these federated services, be connected over the borders of carriers, ISPs, data centers as a mixed service, an easy service. The main goal for Gaia will be standardization. So there will be a lot of standards coming on the market, and this will create this, what we call the ecosystem.
That leads quite nicely onto my next question, which is what role do internet exchange points play within this project and I guess within that ecosystem?
Yeah, so traditionally internet exchange points are connecting providers with each other. But we see more and more corporates also connecting to the exchange and creating what we call a so-called IX-oriented network strategy. So in order to have multiple connections to their suppliers, they just connect to an exchange as the middle point of a wheel with the spins. And in connecting to an exchange, they can build up one-to-many, one-to-one, and many-to-one situations. And this makes communications, especially if you are talking about federated services, more reliable, more safe, and more faster.
my last question for you is more generally, where do you see the biggest opportunities for your customers right now?
As you might have seen in the press, we jumped over the 10 terabit usage of the exchange in Frankfurt. Not just once, yesterday night again, we went up another 300 gig, which is a tremendous, unbelievable amount of data that is now transferred over the exchange. And yeah, the challenge that we have is to keep this backbone in Europe stable, and to follow the demand of the providers that are also asking for more capacity, to want to be better connected. And that's real the challenge that we are now facing. So traffic will be growing more and more. If we grow by the pace that we are now growing, we certainly will pass 11 terabit, 12 terabit by the end of the year.
Very impressive. Harald, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.